Hi, this is Karen McKee, retired scientist and author, with another video about scientific writing. When crafting a scientific paper, we try to build a logical argument that guides the reader through our data and leads them to a conclusion. To do this effectively requires good transitions between sentences, paragraphs, and sections of a paper. In a previous video, I talked about how to use narrative writing to craft papers that people enjoy reading. Using transitional bridges to connect your ideas in a logical sequence helps you build a good narrative. Without such transitions, your writing will be choppy and will not flow well. Using transitions effectively assumes that your writing is already reasonably well organized. That is, you've started with a basic outline and have written out your ideas in a logical order. You just need to tie them together a bit better by using transitions. A transition may be a single word, a sentence, or a whole paragraph. Consider an example. Previous research has shown that waterlogging slows decomposition of organic matter. Accordingly, we found that leaves of mangroves decompose more slowly in permanently flooded parts of the forest. The single word accordingly serves as a transition between the two sentences. Without the transition, the reader is left to wonder how the two sentences relate to each other. Yes, the reader will likely figure this out, but adding the transition word leaves no doubt. Or we might use a transition word such as however to indicate a contrast between sentences. However, leaves of some species decompose faster, indicating the role of tissue chemistry in addition to environment in controlling decay rates. You can also use transitions to link paragraphs. An easy way to do this is to take a word or phrase from a paragraph and use it to begin the next paragraph. For example, we've mentioned tissue chemistry in an earlier example about plant decomposition. We would use the same words to begin the next paragraph, which goes into detail about tissue chemistry. That simple technique will make your writing flow better. We can also use transitions to indicate a sequence or to order a series of paragraphs. For example, in discussing our results, we might say, there are 3 possible explanations for the outcome of this study. Then list them, 1, 2, 3. The next 3 paragraphs spell out each explanation. Each paragraph begins by stating the order of the sequence. Use the transition word first to begin the paragraph, and then describe reason number 1. The next paragraph starts with, a second possibility is, and explain number 2, followed by, the third explanation is, and describe the last reason. With just a few transition words and phrases, you can link long sections of text this way. Of course, you want to use this sequencing technique sparingly. Link at most 3 items, as in this example, not 20, and use it only once in a paper, or perhaps 2 or 3 times in a lengthy book chapter. You can also use transitions to indicate relative points in time, after, before, finally, during. The plants were grown in a growth chamber and acclimated to an ambient temperature of 22 degrees centigrade. After 2 months, under ambient conditions, the treatments were applied. Use transitions to denote an example that extends a description. Vegetation may promote sedimentation by reducing water flow and turbulence, or by trapping particles on the plant surfaces. For example, one study found that a common salt marsh grass captured sediment by both mechanisms. Use transitions to link several ideas in a paragraph, such as additionally, also, as well as, alongside, and moreover. The effect of the vegetation on water flow velocity has been linked to canopy structures such as plant height, stem density, or biomass. In addition, plant shoot flexibility may influence water flow through the canopy. Use a transition sentence between sections of a paper. Deposition patterns may also reflect the influence of biological factors such as vegetation structure, which we consider next. This sentence summarizes what's coming in the succeeding section and alerts the reader to it with the phrase, which we consider next. Or you might end a section with this sentence. In the next section, we discuss how climate change may alter plant species composition. Use transition words to conclude or summarize your paper. Therefore, consequently, finally, in conclusion, in summary. This sentence, for example, might be used to begin the conclusion section and briefly restates the main finding of the paper. The rest of the section would go into more detail about why this is important and how the finding might guide conservation or restoration of mangrove forests. The point of using transitions is to provide signposts to readers that help them see where you are going and how you got to your conclusion. Transitions also help you avoid what seem to the reader to be abrupt jumps from one point to another. They link sentences, paragraphs, and sections, helping to build a strong narrative structure. Skilled writers can often add transitions as they write. Others may need to get their ideas down first and then go back and add transition word sentences and paragraphs. Either way works. If you are still struggling, find a paper or two in your field in which the writing seems to flow well and go through each one, highlighting transition words, phrases, and sentences. Then try to read the papers without those transitions. Such an exercise will not only show you how transitions work, it will give you lots of examples to use in your next paper. Thanks for watching, and if you found this information helpful, please like my video or leave a comment.